Nobody expected America's toughest TV judge to be silenced by Hollywood's most intense superstar. Judge Judy Sheindlin's eyes blazed with her trademark fury as she prepared to destroy Tom Cruise in front of 4 million viewers. Mr. Cruz, I don't care if you've made billions jumping off buildings and running from explosions. In my courtroom, your movie star theatrics mean nothing, she declared with crushing authority. But when a Mission Impossible star opened his mouth to respond, what happened next would leave Judge Judy speechless for the first time in 25 years. If you want to see how Hollywood's most intense actor exposed America's toughest TV judge's biggest weakness using preparation that defied all expectations, watch this entire story and don't forget to subscribe for more shocking confrontations that the entertainment industry tried to bury. The Judge Judy courtroom set hummed with unusual tension. That Tuesday afternoon in January 2026, Judge Judy Sheindlin, at 83, had spent over 3 decades building an empire worth $440 million through her ability to psychologically demolish unprepared litigants on national television. Her show had become the highest-rated court program in television history, with millions of viewers tuning in daily to watch her destroy people with surgical precision and devastating verbal attacks that had made her one of the most feared personalities in entertainment. Born Judith Susan Blum in Brooklyn, Sheindlin had built her reputation through a combination of legal knowledge, street smarts, and an intimidating persona that could reduce grown adults to tears within minutes. Her courtroom style was a carefully crafted performance designed to entertain audiences while establishing her absolute authority over anyone who dared challenge her judgment or question her decisions. The Judge Judy phenomenon had transcended simple entertainment to become a cultural institution that influenced public perception of both the legal system and acceptable social behavior. Her catchphrases, facial expressions, and dismissive gestures had entered popular culture, while her ability to see through deception and manipulation had earned grudging respect even from critics who questioned her methods. But behind the judicial robes and television success, industry insiders whispered about a different Judge Judy. Former production staff and court officers, speaking anonymously to entertainment publications, described a woman whose intimidation tactics occasionally crossed ethical lines and whose need for dramatic television sometimes compromised fair treatment of guests who appeared before her. Tom Cruise, at 63, represented everything Judge Judy claimed to disdain about Hollywood's celebrity culture and entitled behavior. The Syracuse-born actor had built a legendary career spanning over 4 decades, becoming one of the highest-grossing movie stars in cinema history while maintaining an intensity and perfectionism that had become legendary throughout the entertainment industry. That Cruz's journey from small-town upstart to global superstar embodied both the American dream and the extreme dedication that Judge Judy often praised in her moral lectures to defendants. His commitment to performing his own stunts, his obsessive preparation for roles, and his relentless work ethic had earned respect across the film industry, while his box office success had made him one of the most powerful figures in Hollywood. What made Cruz particularly fascinating was his reputation for intellectual curiosity and meticulous research that extended far beyond his acting career. Unlike many celebrities who relied on agents and publicists to handle complex issues, Cruz was known for personally diving deep into subjects that interested him, often developing expertise that surprised industry professionals and academics. The case that would create an unprecedented confrontation between entertainment icons had begun 8 months earlier when Cruz was sued by a former personal assistant, David Mitchell, who claimed wrongful termination, breach of contract, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Mitchell alleged that Cruz's demanding work standards and intense personality had created an impossible work environment, seeking $25 million in damages and public vindication. The lawsuit had attracted significant media attention because it involved one of Hollywood's biggest stars and because it reflected broader conversations about workplace behavior and power dynamics in the entertainment industry. Cruz had denied all allegations and expressed confidence that the evidence would demonstrate his commitment to fair treatment of all employees. That Mitchell's attorneys had specifically requested Judge Judy show because they believed her reputation for aggressive questioning and skepticism towards celebrity defendants would work in their favor. They expected Judy to treat Cruz like any other entitled Hollywood star trying to escape consequences for bad behavior through wealth and fame. What they hadn't anticipated was that Cruz had agreed to appear on the show not because he was seeking a quick resolution, but because he wanted to address the allegations publicly and demonstrate his confidence in both his innocence and his understanding of the legal issues involved. His decision to face Judge Judy directly rather than settling quietly had surprised legal experts and entertainment industry observers. The courtroom audience was packed with an unusual mix of legal professionals, entertainment journalists, and Cruz fans who had never watched Judge Judy before, but were drawn by the unprecedented nature of the confrontation. The generational and cultural diversity of the audience reflected Cruz's broad appeal across demographic lines and his enduring relevance in popular culture. Today, as Tom Cruise entered the courtroom that afternoon, he moved with the purposeful intensity that had made him a Hollywood icon. Despite his age, he carried himself with the physical confidence and mental focus that had enabled him to perform increasingly dangerous stunts well into his 60s, commanding immediate respect from everyone present, including production staff who were accustomed to nervous, intimidated guests. Cruz was dressed in a perfectly tailored navy suit that reflected his status as Hollywood royalty, but his demeanor was focused and respectful rather than arrogant or entitled. His presence seemed to elevate the entire proceedings, transforming what was typically a venue for entertainment-based legal drama into something approaching actual judicial dignity and intellectual rigor. Judge Judy emerged to her usual thunderous applause, but even casual observers noticed that her typical commanding entrance seemed somehow diminished by Cruz's intense presence and obvious preparation. For perhaps the first time in her television career, she was not the most focused and prepared figure in her own courtroom. Her opening was calculated to establish dominance and diminish Cruz's cultural status, using the psychological tactics that had proven effective against countless celebrities and ordinary defendants over her career. "Mr. Cruz, I want to establish something right away," Judge Judy began, her voice carrying the intimidation that had made her famous. "I don't care if you've made billions jumping off buildings and running from explosions, or if you're considered one of the biggest movie stars in the world. In my courtroom, your movie star theatrics and Hollywood connections mean absolutely nothing." The attack was designed to reduce Cruz to just another defendant while establishing Judge Judy's authority over someone whose cultural status and global recognition might otherwise overshadow her own. The audience waited for Cruz's response, expecting either defensive stammering or arrogant pushback that would justify Judy's aggressive approach. But when Tom Cruise opened his mouth to respond, something extraordinary happened that would change the entire dynamic of the proceeding and ultimately Judge Judy's career. "Your Honor," Cruz began, his voice carrying the distinctive intensity and focus that had made him one of cinema's most compelling performers. "I deeply respect this court, the legal process, and the opportunity to address these allegations in a forum where truth can be distinguished from speculation and where facts matter more than assumptions." The simple statement, delivered with Cruz's legendary intensity and obvious sincerity, immediately transformed the atmosphere in the courtroom. The gravity, preparation, and natural authority in his response made Judge Judy's aggressive opening seem petty and inappropriate by comparison. Judge Judy attempted to maintain her intimidating approach, but something in Cruz's presence and obvious preparation had already begun to undermine her usual tactics. "Mr. Cruz, this isn't a movie set where you can charm your way through problems or use stunt coordinators to make you look good. These are serious allegations about your treatment of an employee who trusted you with his career." Cruz's response demonstrated the intellectual rigor and moral seriousness that had made him respected far beyond the entertainment industry. "You're absolutely right, Your Honor. These are serious allegations that deserve serious consideration based on comprehensive evidence and factual analysis rather than assumptions, preconceptions, or superficial judgments about character or motivation." His acknowledgement of the gravity of the situation, while maintaining his dignity and demonstrating obvious preparation, created a stark contrast with Judge Judy's theatrical aggression. The audience began to sense that they were witnessing something different from the typical Judge Judy spectacle. The plaintiff claims you created a hostile work environment through unreasonable demands, excessive criticism, and treatment that allegedly caused emotional distress. Judge Judy continued, attempting to regain control through direct accusation. What's your response to these specific allegations about your management style and workplace behavior? Cruz's answer would begin to expose the limitations of Judge Judy's approach when facing someone with genuine preparation and intellectual sophistication. Your Honor, I believe the evidence will demonstrate that these allegations reflect a fundamental misunderstanding of both professional standards in the entertainment industry and my actual approach to working relationships with employees and colleagues. The response was measured, confident, and indicated extensive preparation without being arrogant. Cruz was addressing the court with a seriousness appropriate for significant legal proceedings rather than engaging in the entertainment-focused drama that Judge Judy preferred. Judge Judy attempted to provoke a more defensive reaction through personal attack designed to make Cruz appear demanding and unreasonable. Mr. Cruz, you're known throughout Hollywood for your intensity and perfectionism. Isn't it possible that your high standards and demanding personality create work environments that ordinary people find overwhelming and abusive? The question was designed to use Cruz's reputation for intensity against him while positioning Judge Judy as a protector of ordinary workers against celebrity excess. But Cruz's response would demonstrate the thoughtful leadership and moral reasoning that had earned him respect from colleagues across the industry. Your Honor, I believe there's a fundamental difference between maintaining high professional standards and creating abusive work environments. Cruz replied with the intensity that had made him famous, but channeled towards serious legal and ethical analysis. He paused, allowing his words to register before continuing with devastating clarity. Excellence requires commitment, preparation, and attention to detail. But achieving excellence should never involve disrespecting people, ignoring their well-being, or treating colleagues as expendable resources rather than valued team members. His response reframed the conversation from personal criticism to professional philosophy, while subtly distinguishing between legitimate high standards and actual workplace abuse. Judge Judy was beginning to realize that her usual intimidation tactics were not only ineffective against Cruz, but were making her appear small and unprofessional by comparison. She attempted to shift tactics toward aggressive fact-finding designed to expose inconsistencies or admissions of inappropriate behavior. The plaintiff claims you made unreasonable demands about work hours, criticized his performance in front of other employees, and created an atmosphere of fear and anxiety. Do you deny creating a stressful work environment for this individual? Cruz's response would demonstrate the kind of thoughtful honesty and leadership accountability that Judge Judy's format rarely accommodated. Your Honor, I absolutely maintain high standards for everyone who works with me, including myself. If Mr. Mitchell experienced stress or anxiety as a result of those standards, I sincerely regret that outcome and take responsibility for ensuring that professional expectations are communicated clearly and supportively. The admission was mature and demonstrated genuine leadership while avoiding acceptance of guilt for intentional wrongdoing. It showed the kind of nuanced thinking about management and responsibility that Judge Judy's black-and-white approach couldn't effectively address. Judge Judy attempted to use his admission as ammunition for further attack. So you admit to creating a stressful work environment that caused anxiety for your employee. How is that acceptable management behavior in any professional context? Cruz's response would expose the fundamental flaw in Judge Judy's approach to complex professional relationships and workplace dynamics. Your Honor, with respect, I believe there's a significant difference between the stress that comes from high professional standards and maintaining excellence, and the stress that comes from abusive or disrespectful treatment. He paused, then continued with the intellectual precision that had made him successful in analyzing complex film roles and industry challenges. Every meaningful professional achievement involves some level of stress and challenge. The question is whether that stress comes from pursuing shared goals of excellence or from personal mistreatment and abuse of authority. The philosophical depth of Cruz's response highlighted the superficiality of Judge Judy's approach to workplace dynamics and professional relationships. He had transformed a potential admission of guilt into a thoughtful commentary on leadership, excellence, and professional responsibility. Judge Judy was now visibly struggling to maintain her aggressive stance against someone whose responses consistently demonstrated superior preparation and moral reasoning. Mr. Cruz, you can't philosophize your way out of specific allegations about your behavior. Did you or did you not create working conditions that this employee found unacceptable? Cruz's response would deliver a masterclass in leadership accountability while exposing Judge Judy's limitations as an arbiter of complex professional relationships. Your Honor, I've worked with thousands of people over my career, including many in intensive, high-pressure situations that required extraordinary commitment and precision. I would encourage this court to consider the testimony and experiences of those colleagues alongside the allegations of one individual. He then did something that completely changed the proceedings and demonstrated the level of preparation that Judge Judy had never encountered. In fact, I brought written statements from 47 people who have worked with me in various capacities over the past decade, including assistants, directors, producers, and crew members, all volunteering there. Perspectives on my leadership style and workplace behavior. The introduction of comprehensive character evidence was something Judge Judy's format rarely encountered, and it immediately shifted the burden of proof back to the plaintiff while demonstrating Cruz's confidence in his professional reputation and treatment of colleagues. Judge Judy attempted to dismiss the evidence through her typical skepticism and cynicism. Mr. Cruz, of course your friends and colleagues would support you. That doesn't address the specific allegations made by the plaintiff or change the fact that he experienced your work environment as hostile and abusive. Cruz's response would demonstrate the strategic thinking and thorough preparation that had made him successful in Hollywood's complex professional environment. Your Honor, with respect, these aren't just friends offering casual support or people trying to curry favor with a celebrity. These are professional colleagues in positions of authority who have worked directly with me and felt comfortable enough with their experiences to put their professional reputations behind their statements. He produced a comprehensive folder containing the testimonials and handed them to Judge Judy with obvious confidence. These include directors who controlled my career opportunities, producers who hired me for major projects, assistants who worked closely with me in private settings, and crew members who observed my behavior during high-stress filming conditions. Their consistent testimony about my leadership style and treatment of colleagues represents a pattern of evidence that contradicts the isolated allegations we're discussing today. Judge Judy glanced at the documents, realizing that Cruz had come prepared with a kind of comprehensive defense that her show's format wasn't designed to handle effectively. Her usual approach of rapid-fire questioning and emotional manipulation was proving ineffective against someone with Cruz's preparation and intellectual sophistication. But Cruz wasn't finished demonstrating the inadequacy of Judge Judy's approach to serious professional allegations and workplace dynamics. Your Honor, I'd also like to address the broader question of how we evaluate workplace allegations in an industry that operates under unique pressures and time constraints. Judge Judy attempted to cut him off with her typical impatience for complexity. Mr. Cruz, this court isn't interested in Hollywood industry commentary. We're here to determine facts about your specific behavior toward this specific employee. Cruz's response would deliver the most devastating critique of Judge Judy's methods while maintaining perfect respect for the legal proceedings. Your Honor, I believe the industry context is directly relevant to the facts of this case because it affects how professional interactions are interpreted and how workplace standards should be evaluated. His voice took on the intensity and intellectual precision that had made him successful in analyzing complex characters and challenging film projects. The entertainment industry operates under time pressures, financial constraints, and creative demands that don't exist in typical office environments. Understanding those realities is essential for properly evaluating whether behavior represents professional leadership or personal abuse. The statement was profound and demonstrated the kind of nuanced thinking that Judge Judy's format actively discouraged in favor of simple blame assignment and dramatic confrontation. The allegations against me reflect a fundamental misunderstanding about the difference between professional intensity and personal hostility, between maintaining standards and abusing authority, Cruz continued, his preparation and intellectual rigor now fully evident. If we can't distinguish between genuine professional misconduct and the normal challenges of working in demanding, high-stakes environments, we create workplace standards that make excellence impossible and penalize leadership rather than protecting employees. Judge Judy was now completely out of her depth, facing philosophical and professional arguments that transcended her typical focus on simple behavioral judgments and personal responsibility. Cruz had elevated the entire proceeding beyond entertainment into genuine workplace analysis and leadership theory. Mr. Cruz, Judge Judy said, her voice lacking its usual authority and confidence. These are complex issues, but this court needs to focus on the specific allegations rather than broader industry questions or leadership philosophy. Cruz's final response would completely transform the proceeding and leave Judge Judy without an effective counterargument or response. Your Honor, I understand the court's preference for specificity, but I would suggest that specific allegations can only be properly evaluated within the context of broader understanding about professional relationships, industry standards, and the difference between challenging work environments and abusive treatment. He paused, allowing his words to register fully before delivering his conclusion with the intensity that had made him one of cinema's most compelling performers. The evidence I've presented demonstrates a consistent pattern of professional behavior spanning decades and involving hundreds of colleagues who felt comfortable working with me repeatedly under challenging conditions. This pattern provides the context necessary to properly evaluate isolated allegations that may reflect misunderstanding about professional standards rather than misconduct or abuse. The logic was unassailable and the presentation was masterful, combining legal reasoning with professional expertise and moral authority in ways that Judge Judy simply couldn't match or effectively challenge. Judge Judy sat in silence for a moment, realizing that she had been completely outmaneuvered by someone whose preparation, intellectual sophistication, and moral authority exceeded her own. For perhaps the first time in her television career, she was facing someone who had transformed her courtroom into a venue for genuine professional analysis rather than entertainment-based legal drama. Mr. Cruz, she said quietly. Her tone completely changed from the beginning of the proceeding. Your response has been extraordinarily thorough and well-reasoned. The transformation in Judge Judy's demeanor was complete and visible to everyone present. Cruz had not only defended himself effectively, but had elevated the entire proceeding while exposing the limitations of Judge Judy's approach to complex professional relationships and workplace dynamics. The case concluded with Judge Judy finding in Cruz's favor, but the real victory was the demonstration of how preparation, intellectual rigor, and moral authority could transform even the most hostile environment into an opportunity for genuine understanding and professional vindication. Within hours, clips of Cruz's performance were viral across all platforms, with viewers praising his preparation, intellectual depth, and professional dignity under pressure. Legal experts analyzed his strategic use of character evidence and his ability to reframe hostile questioning into opportunities for principled leadership discussion. The confrontation became a masterclass in crisis management and professional defense, showing how authentic expertise and moral authority could overcome even the most aggressive interrogation tactics when combined with proper preparation and genuine integrity. Tom Cruise had demonstrated that true authority comes not from power to intimidate or humiliate others, but from the wisdom to address serious questions with preparation, honesty, and respect for the complexity of professional relationships and leadership responsibilities.